I chickened out the first time I did it, like 3 times, 3 people in front of me before I was to go on. I went up and told the MC I can't go on. He goes, well, you're almost on. I go, no. I drove home, hated myself for a year, went back exactly a year later, signed up for the open mic again, went up and killed the first time I got on stage. So here I am.
And then the second time you went up, how'd you do?
Not as well. Because I went to an open mic, what I thought was an open mic. I truly thought it was an open mic, and it was actually the last audition night for the Seattle Comedy Competition. And they were trying to fill in spots for the last few people. So I passed. My first time on stage, I killed, and the lady said, we think that's great. You passed the audition. And I was like, I don't understand what you mean. I don't understand what you're talking about. And she said, this was the audition for the Seattle Comedy Competition. I go, isn't it open mic? She goes, yes, but it's also an audition. You passed. Come back next Tuesday night. You're in the competition. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm on my way to stardom. And that night I went up on open mic. So the next night I came back and I was in a competition with 20 professionals.
Brad Upton. I'll start off with a compliment. So, in the pregame, I'm looking at his material. Brad, and he's in a hotel right now. So he's the warrior. He's a comedian warrior. He's doing what comedians do. Your material is a nice compliment. I think any comedian, the best compliment. I look at the first thing I noticed about your material. It's so tight. Your material is tight. So I'm looking forward to getting into the writing aspect and all that. But let's go back to the beginning. Let's find out where you're from. How'd you get involved in stand-up? Tell us a little about yourself.
I was born and raised in Richland, Washington, which is in eastern Washington state. It's over on the dry side, the rural side. And, growing up, you always like comedy. I like stand-ups. I was always drawn to them, but you don't think there's a path to it. I mean, how's there a path to that career? And as I got older in high school and college, and especially in college, I started thinking, God, I'd like to do, that was in the late 70s, but still the comedy boom hadn't even started yet. So I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I'd like to do it. I think I can do it. And then it started booming in the early 80s, and I kept thinking, I want to try this. I want to try this. So I was 200 miles from an open mic. I was teaching 4th grade, and I had 4 notebooks full of material that I'd written, thinking someday I want to try this. So anyway, I signed up for an open mic. I drove 200 miles over to an open mic. I chickened out the first time I did it, like 3 times, 3 people in front of me before I was to go on. I went up and told the MC I can't go on. He goes, well, you're almost on. I go, no. I drove home, hated myself for a year, went back exactly a year later, signed up for the open mic again, went up and killed the first time I got on stage. So here I am.
And then the second time you went up, how'd you do?
Not as well. I'll tell you why.
So typical.
Oh.
Likewise.
Because I went to an open mic, what I thought was an open mic. I truly thought it was an open mic, and it was actually the last audition night for the Seattle Comedy Competition. And they were trying to fill in spots for the last few people. So I passed. My first time on stage, I killed, and the lady said, we think that's great. You passed the audition. And I was like, I don't understand what you mean. I don't understand what you're talking about. And she said, this was the audition for the Seattle Comedy Competition. I go, isn't it open mic? She goes, yes, but it's also an audition. You passed. Come back next Tuesday night. And you're in the competition. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm on my way to stardom. And I came back. That night I went up on open mic. So the next night I came back and I was in a competition with 20 professionals. And my amateurist status showed very brightly that night.
Wow. That is so interesting. So 4 books. I mean, how old were you when you started?
I was 28. I was old for a first timer.
What year was it?
1984.
Oh, that was like perfect. I mean, that was like just booming then. That was like,
yeah, exactly.
That was the best comedy boom time ever. I don't think there's been the 80s. There's never been a time like that and a boom like that, has there?
No. And you know what? I see guys now, I don't know how they start. I don't know how they go full time because they can't. And all the guys that I was in the 80s, when we first did our first open mics, we all quit our jobs within about 2 years. And we're doing it full time because there was enough work.
Right. Yeah.
You can't do that now. You can't quit in 2 years and,
It's funny hearing the story, your story. It's almost like watching When Harry Met Sally, when you see these old couples of how they fell in love, how
Right.
a comedian gets started is so different. I started when I was 19 in LA in 1986. I'm like a ham and egger kind of guy. I'm an amateur. I off and on every 5, 6 years. I do stand up. I do a stint, then I stop, and one of those guys.
Right.
Everybody's got their own little thumbprint. Now, when your trajectory, when you've gone from that town, to you got to go to LA, eventually, or New York, right?
No, I never went. I stayed in Seattle my entire career.
How that's a line from a movie from Silver Linings Playbook. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I went to Seattle in 1986. I never left, and there was enough work. And I just did club work, and I did a lot of club work, and I started doing some corporate events. And I was a big fish in Seattle, and I stayed there my entire career. I never moved to LA. I never moved to New York. Maybe that's why it took me forever for anybody to find me.
Yeah, but you got specials and you do well. I mean, and you've always been there.
Yeah. Yep. Always been in Seattle. Never left.
So that's interesting. Let's get into that. How do you find the milestones, the opportunities? I mean, take us through yours, how were you discovered? How did you push forward? Because that's a tough gear.
Yeah, I didn't get discovered until my videos boomed on the internet just a couple of years ago. I mean, I was anonymous for all these years. People in the comedy business knew who I was. Comedians knew who I was, but the general public didn't know who I was. So I was plugging along. I did okay. I mean, I was making decent money for years. There was really no need for me to move to LA. In the early 90s, I was starting to get a little bit of heat. I had 3 national TV appearances. I did Evening at the Improv, and I did Comedy on the Road, and I did MTV Half Hour Comedy Hour, all in about 14 months. So I had, I
How'd you
made
get
3.
those back then? How'd you get those? Being out there, because everything we know, it's like either you got to be LA or New York. How back there? How did that happen?
I had the phone number, the booking number of who booked those things. And, it was call them up, send us a tape. That's how it worked. And I sent them a tape. And then, you also list a few people that would endorse you to them. And they watched the tape and said, yeah, come on down to LA. We'll tape one. And then once you do one, then the other bookers from the other shows go, oh, well, he did Evening at the Improv. We could probably use him on Comedy on the Road. And MTV goes, oh, he just did 2 A&E things. We'll put him on MTV. That's how they steamroll like that.
Yeah. What's been your biggest bottleneck for you in your career?
Probably staying in Seattle. But, I was in the early 90s. I would go down to LA and stay with my buddies and stay on their couch and do showcases. And my wife and I were thinking about starting a family. And I was like, I got a nice house in the burbs in Seattle. I don't want to move to LA and get a crappy apartment and step over homeless people every morning as I leave now they've come to Seattle. So I guess I didn't, but they were the homeless problem was in LA long before it was in Seattle. But I just thought, man, I don't want to move to LA. This is I just like it better here. And, I'm sure looking back, that probably held me back, but I was doing okay. I was never struggling.
That's wonderful, actually, because now with modern technology, look at us talking here today. I mean, you are able to. When did that start to hit critical mass where you said, you know what? Because anybody can, nowadays, anybody can, pretty much do whatever they can do. A TikTok goes viral. There's the TikTok guy that did the IKEA, disgruntled employee, thing. He was
Right.
on Cocaine Bear, and I'm sure he would have never gotten that, cameo on Cocaine Bear if he didn't have these TikTok viral, So when did that start to happen for you? Because I think you said with the internet, that's really kind of what helped you. What were some of the milestones there?
Well, I had the first video on Dry Bar that really went crazy and kind of put Dry Bar on the map. I mean, the Dry Bar people will tell you the same thing. Here, just a minute. I'm going to close. Can I close that curtain? The sun's coming right through there. I look like an idiot. Just a second.
Give a little explanation, people. He's in Chumash. He's in Chumash Resort. He's in
All
a
right, there we are.
hotel. And
I had the first video on Dry Bar that really went crazy. That was in June of 2018. It did 12 million views in 48 hours, and it did 33 million views in 10 days. And that really changed everything for me. And I immediately dropped another one. I had him. I called him. I go, listen, let's drop another one. Here's how we edit it. I know exactly what we put out there. Do it this way. And they did it. And we dropped another one. And by the summer of, that was in the end of June. And by early August, I had 60 million views on 2 different videos. And all of a sudden people were like, well, what's Dry Bar? What's Dry Bar? And you can see Dry Bar went from something people weren't aware of to all of a sudden something people were aware of. And the Dry Bar people will tell you that. They'll say your videos are what, blew us up.
right. I mean, what was that? What was going through your head? Were you like, I can't believe this is happening? Or because it's all this long career and you've had successes, but that seems like that would have probably catapulted you into a different kind of chapter.
Oh, absolutely. My wife and I were on vacation. We went to Quebec City, Quebec, and we were on vacation. I wasn't going to do any business. My wife's like, stop looking at your phone. Let's just have a vacation. And that's when the video hit. And I'm telling you, man, I was looking at this thing. I was like, holy crap, it's another million. Oh, my God. And I mean, the whole 4 days we were in, that's when it was blowing up, the 4 days we were on vacation. And it was going nuts. I mean, I got, 12 million views in 48 hours. And then all kinds of people searching me out on my social media and all kinds of stuff. And people asking questions and sending messages. And then immediately the haters that you suck and you're terrible and I hate you and all that crap. So, but yeah, that changed everything.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, who cares? It's unbelievable. I mean, look, the views and all the likes and all that's social proof. So what kind of doors did that open up when that happened?
Well, I immediately just started booking. I started booking my own stuff in clubs. I had all the contacts. I'd been to all the clubs all over America. I had all the contacts in all the comedy clubs and all the chains. I knew all those guys. But I was 64 years old. They're not bringing me in if I can't draw anymore. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden I had those contacts and I could sell tickets. So I just started emailing and making door deals, and my income went like that. And I'm still doing that. And of course, this is the thing too. I have management. I have a manager and an agent now, and those guys show up in year 36 and go, "Hey, we can help you." I'm like, "Yeah, really?" I have them now, but I'm like, "Where were you the last 36 years?" Suddenly, I can sell tickets, and now they want to help me.
That's great. So, you were able to, were you like, not a movie reference, Trading Places, where it's like, they're like, sell, 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 sell. And then they're like, buy.
Yeah.
Were you able to like pick and choose like, oh, I think Comedy Cellar or whatever I don't know, your locations, your favorite locations where you wanted to perform. Was it like that? You're like, oh, I got to find the best ones. And
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I could do a lot more days now. And I told last 2023 and 2024, I told my manager, work me like a mule, put me in everywhere you want. I want to take advantage of this while I can.
Wow. Let's talk about performing as let's go back. What were your biggest bottlenecks as far as a performer? What was your Achilles heel? What were your personal, challenges that you had to get over to become better?
Well, I don't know how to say this without sounding cocky, but I got pretty good at it right away. I don't know how to say it. I was teaching 4th grade. I was in front of a classroom every single day. I told you I wrote stacks of material. So from the time I first did my first open mic in September of 84, in April of 85, I had a good half hour already.
Wow.
Like 7 months later. So I was able to work right away. And I moved up. Everybody takes their own path, but and when you're in it, you don't realize it. Now I look back and I go, I moved up pretty quickly. I moved up to feature and I moved up to headliner pretty quickly. But if you watch any comedians in the business that do well, the guys that are really good at it are just better at it earlier. They just are. I mean, they have the knack for it. It's like a guy that can throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, he moves up to the minor leagues pretty fast because he can throw 100. He has to learn how to throw strikes, but he moves up. He's just better. When he started, he was already better. You remember the guy in junior high that was the best athlete, and he was just better than everybody else at everything. And you're like, how did he do it? I don't know. He just was better.
Right. Writing. I inherently think that most comedians, depends on their niche, depends on their style, but most comedians have to be smart. You were a school teacher, you're smart, but also the premise, punchline, shattered assumption, new equilibrium, format for a joke. Did that come to you naturally, or did you have to kind of formalize, something?
Yeah, I think it did come to me a little naturally. When I look back at that first 5 minutes I ever did on stage that I killed, I think it was pretty well written. But you mentioned at the very beginning about my jokes being tight, and I know what that came from, because when I started, in the Pacific Northwest, I went out and I did Tribble gigs, which you've probably heard of Tribble gigs, which are awful bars. That David Tribble was the booker in the Northwest in the 80s and 90s, and he had these string of bars. They were in Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Montana, and they were in every horrible hotel, lounge, bar, crappy, just the worst, everything you think about. And he had a bunch of those. And when you started out, you went and worked those. And then I also worked Yuck Yucks a lot up in Canada. I worked for Yuck Yucks in Western Canada. And on those nights, they put you in the club on, like, in Calgary or Edmonton on Friday, Saturday, but on Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, you're out doing little crappy, horrible bars on the prairie. And they're awful places to do comedy, and you better learn how to get to the punchline real fast or you're going to lose them. So I would get up there, talk fast, get to the jokes, joke, and see if I could hold them. And I still, when I watch myself 40 years later, I still talk too fast on stage. Mm-hmm. And I know it's from those early bar gigs, just trying to save your ass.
Yeah, your LPMs, they're really tight. I mean, I'm like, this guy is getting a lot of jokes in a minute here. I mean, it's just rapid fire. This is, and they're clean and tight, the COVID jokes. I mean, you it's fucking awesome. It's just really good, tight stuff.
Well, the thing that right now blowing up and everything being on the internet, you get away for years and years and years. You can get away with being lazy. I mean, not changing your hour much because it's not online. Nobody's seen it. And for decades, I went on stage every night anonymously. People didn't know who I was. They were just going to the comedy club and they were going to see a comedian. So you get away with being lazy on your act. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, oh God, everybody's seen everything. I have to get off my ass and write. I write pretty well when I make myself do it. Right. I just got lazy about it for years.
Right. Yeah. A lot. Yeah. That's why a lot of these young guys, I see them doing a lot of crowd work because two reasons. One, they don't want their stuff to get stolen. So they do crowd work and it's like sensationalistic for, social purposes. And also, you don't have to, be as prolific as a writer sometimes.
Right. No, I would agree.
So, what's your writing process right now? Like, is it association lists, and then how does it look for you?
It's just stuff that pops up in my head, and then I write it down. I think, I write it down. I think there's something funny there. I got the concept, kind of got the joke, and I just sit at it and look at it. Sometimes it'll come to me right away. Sometimes it'll be in my book for 2 years before I go, I know how to make that funny now. So I have to sit down. And, the other thing, too, my manager says, you need a new hour. I'm like, an hour? Do you know how long it takes to write a good hour? But so I have been actually going back and resurrecting some old stuff that I did for years. It was good stuff, but, I got tired of it. I let it go. I put something new in and I go back and I go, oh, this was good. I should do this again. There's nothing wrong with this. So I've been resurrecting some old stuff. I've also been writing some new stuff.
Young comedians that don't have the unconscious competence that you have to look at material and kind of like, because a lot of young comedians, want to formally write, and there's a process. I've kind of studied them all, Greg Dean, Judy Carter, et al. Like with a young comedian, what would you suggest on how they would start to write, a formal way to eventually get them to, other than going up on stage, because that's there's nothing more important than going up.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Got to go on.
Right. Yeah.
Get the reps in.
Get the reps. But as far as the writing process, what would you tell them to get their 4 books, in a formal way? What's the best advice you can give them?
I think just you got to write everything down. Write it down. Don't just, I've heard of people say, I don't write anything down. I go, well, you're going to forget a lot of stuff. You have to write it down. Just keep looking at it. Reread it every day. And then if you're on a long drive, have it next to you in the car and read it and then think about it. Turn off the radio, turn off the noise. Just think about it. That's how I do it. Get in the quiet spot and then see if I can make it pop. The hard thing now for me, though, is, I'm selling tickets. People want to see me. I want to put on a great show. It's like, when do I try this new chunk? I don't want to go to an open mic because that's an awful feedback. You're not getting real feedback. And all the open mics only give you 2-3 minutes. Well, I need about 10 minutes. So to stumble through new stuff is hard for me. Where do I put it in my act? How do I stumble through it without the audience catching on? I don't want to pull out a piece of paper. I've never taken notes on stage. So that's the hard part now, is trying this new stuff.
Emotional. You do well and then you bomb, and you're like, you don't have any answers why you bombed. And you're driving home. It's usually what happens. How do you navigate on what you tell yourself to get out of that? To me, the best panacea is go right back up right again and keep on going back up till you have a good gig to make yourself feel a little better.
Right.
But if you can't, if that's not going to happen, how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah, I've had some of when I was starting out, I had some of those trips home after gigs where I literally turned the radio off and I went, how do I fix that? Next time that happens, what do I do? How could I have fixed what happened tonight? Think about the scenario, the audience, everything that was around that contributed to that crappy show. Next time, how do I fix that? I've had some quiet drives home after some gigs before where I was like, that sucked. That sucked. Same way in a Tribble gig, like you're in the hotel lounge and it sucks and you can't wait to get out of there and go back to your room, and you go back to the room and just be by yourself, quiet for a while, and go, what went wrong? How do I fix it? And time to start drinking. No.
How do I, that's, what, inherently personal development, will tell you, look in the direction you want to go to. Like a race car driver's spinning out of control, and they'll say, don't, just look to the direction you want to go. Don't look at the wall, look at the track, and your hands follow. So your question was an enabling question, is what can I do better? How can I fix this? Rather than saying, what the fuck did you do? Why did you do that? Or what, you don't have, those goes inherent, and knee-jerk reaction things. But what can I do to fix this? Turn the music off and kind of concentrate on, okay, what can we do here?
Well, it's the same way in athletics. You do the same thing. I mean, if you keep getting struck out on a slider down and away, you got to go back and go, how do I fix that? That's going to happen again. Next time it happens, what am I going to do to fix that? I mean, you do that in athletics all the time. I'm trying to go to my right and they keep beating me to my right. How do I fix that?
Right.
So
where are you at today in your career? I know you're at Chumash Resort, and Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara?
Yes.
Yeah. So where are you at today, as a whole in your career and your personal life? What's happening with you?
Well, my wife retired Tuesday. She's after 45 years of labor, she retired. I'm busting my ass now to the end of this year, and I've thought about walking away at the end of the year, like closing the curtains and going, I'm done. I may cut way back at the end of this. I may cut back in 2025 to one weekend a year. I might do that. I've been doing this almost 40 years. I had a health scare 2 years ago that nearly killed me. My brother is literally in the hospital. He's not doing well. He's my younger brother. My dad died at 71. I'm 68. It's like, do I want to just keep grinding out and die in a hotel room with a bunch of money in the bank, or do I want to go? It might be time to step away. I'd take some TV stuff if something came along, some kind of TV or movie. I would do that. But I think as far as stand up, which I love doing and I've done for 40 years, I'm going to cut way back in the not too distant future.
Is conceptually, you're thinking about that. Is that knowing how good you are? You could throw the fast pitches, you could hit that fastball, knowing that you can do that so well, and you've never walked away. And when you walk away, you lose steps.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it kind of frightens me, because you need the reps. And, I feel like to be sharp, I have to work all the time. And I want to find out what that is. How little can I work and still be sharp? Because I like the reps.
Right.
And I don't want to get up once a month and go, God, I'm rusty for the first 2 nights and then be good the third night and the fourth night. I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I'll find out pretty soon.
That's an interesting question. That's a really cool observation. It's like, yeah, how much can I do to still stay at an A+?
Right.
Health. Are you able to work out at the hotels, a lot of time, or do you get kind of like, somebody that's been around like as much as you have you built a sustainable rhythm to your health? And when you're on the road, because sometimes it can be unhealthy. You're just like, you're sedentary. You're not in your routine as far as exercising and eating and all that. What does that look like for you?
Well, during the year of COVID, that when we did nothing, I turned into Forrest Gump of walking. And I walked, for that April 1st of 2020 to April 1st of 2021, I think I averaged 14,000 steps a day for 365 days. I just turned into this prolific walker. So I do that now. After we talk here, I'm going to change clothes. I'm going to go out and I'm going to probably walk 5 or 6 miles. So you can do that anywhere. And if it's crappy, if it's raining, I can go to the treadmill in the hotel. But I'll exercise every day when I have time.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you got the Apple Watch, so it does your steps for you.
That's right.
There it is. So long term, let's say you find that sustainable, mixture. What are you going to do outside of that? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to travel? What are you going to do? What's the long term plan for you?
Well, I worked on cruise ships.
Take care of your health. You can live a long life.
Yeah, I worked cruise ships for 24 years. I cruised all over the world, and all those times I was, I'd go to these places literally all over the world. I go, I want to bring Julie back here. So I got a whole list of places I want to take my wife. I have 1.2 million miles on Alaska that I've saved up. So I've got a lot of miles. So I just want to go. I have a whole list of things. My wife and I would like to take 1 week vacations in all 50 states, where we just go to like West Virginia and then just do a week in West Virginia and explore the whole state. I'd like to do all that for all those states. So I got all kinds of stuff I'm going to go do, but I want to travel all over the country, all over the world too.
Well, maybe you can mix a little, do a little Reese's, mix a little peanut butter chocolate, and you could get yourself an RV, go to the States, do a little stand up, be with the wife, go to different places.
I want to go in January, February of 2025. I want to go do Australia and New Zealand. I'm going to book some shows there, try and do a tour. Doesn't have to be where I cram everything all into 2 weeks. I might turn it into 5 or 6 weeks, stay there the whole time. Biggest problem is getting a cat sitter.
So cats are so easy compared to dogs. So, all right. So let's 5 of the biggest mistakes a young comedian makes.
Thinking they know everything. That you go to an open mic and listen to open micers, you just like, oh my God, you guys don't have any clue. You know what? I think when you get on stage, you think, oh, I have a voice now. I can say anything I want. And a bunch of them just go filthy right out of the gate. I think that's a mistake. Learn how to write. You can always, if you're a clean comedian, you can always work dirty. But if you're a dirty comic, you can't work clean. So try and work clean. There's a lot. That's, I told you I made a lot of money for a lot of years, and I was busy because I could do corporate events. I did a lot of corporate events that paid really well. Even though I was a nobody, I still got paid well because I could do a clean hour that killed. So, you don't know everything. You don't have to be filthy just because you're on stage now. It's liberating, but you don't have to, fuck. You don't have to do that. Those are the two biggest ones. Be nice to people. That's a thing should be in your life if you're a comic or not. Just life goes better if you're nice to people. Be a good hang, somebody that people want to be around. Let's see, the fifth one. Get organized. Holy crap, how hard is it to get to the gig on time? I mean, I'm surprised how many guys can't get to the gig on time, or they're unorganized before they leave. It's like, oh, I don't know when I don't have an airline ticket. I don't know how I'm getting there. It's like, gee, get organized. Did I name 5 things?
You did. That was excellent. Good advice, and applicable for business or personal life or as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're a show business. Yep.
That's right. Brad Upton, such a pleasure. If you guys want to see somebody that is really great at their craft and know how to write material and just see comedy timing. And, this got 40 years. It's so self-evident. That was the first thing that I was like, wow, look at this guy go. So if you wanted to learn more about stand-up, check out Brad Upton. That's the best compliment I can give you, Brad.
That is a huge compliment, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to bolotour.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.